doing everything he can to hurt us.
You gotta f with me first.
Baby brother, ready to get busy.
He know that when they put me in the ground, I'm gonna be flying the same fucking flag I've been flying.
That's what I'm talking about.
So Lou's about to get back in the game and get his hands dirty, and there are a few ways that can actually happen. They've been building a few narratives around Lou at this moment, and one of them, if not a few more, will definitely push him over the edge, where we see this Lou. We know he wants revenge for Famous's death. That's number one. He wants to catch whoever was responsible and make it right. So there's a whole Famous situation. In 406, Rock said that David was a disaster waiting to happen, but I do think Berilla falls into the same category, and that's number two. Berilla is also another character who's a disaster waiting to happen, which I did mention after 403. During my breakdown, during this conversation with Mr. Gelfand, I questioned whether Berilla was worth the trouble that he actually came with. When will Lou say enough is enough? But number three, the whole unique problem. Lou will always fly the Thomas family flag, even after what he's been through back in season 3. Him and Rock have definitely had their ups and downs, but when Lou was at his lowest point, she realized that she needed to be there for him as she has been. We've seen it in season 4. But the same also goes for Lou. If his sister needs help because of this whole situation with Unique, he's definitely going to be there. So, there are a few things brewing when it comes to the storylines involving Lou, and that's the hot topic for this particular breakdown. Lou's next kill, his next move, and the story revolving around his character arc, because they're definitely brewing something big for Lou in all things Raising Kanan Season 4. Now just off the bat, following on from my previous breakdown, I still maintain Lou is someone who's out the running in terms of killing Famous, through motive and also through timeline. There is no way he would ever kill Famous after what he went through with D-Wiz, let alone torture someone who he had so much love for. We saw it in his conversation with Rock, and then we heard it in his conversation with Jessica. I mean, just have a look at the tears. He loved Fame. He tried to do right by him and put him on the right path. He told him stop smoking weed, tap into the brain of his, and get those lyrics down on the paper, and he'll get back into the studio. Ironically, Famous did become a very big hit. Streets Need a Body became a big hit, and 411 was a big hit. Unfortunately, the streets got to him. Whether it was actually the lyrics of 411 that got him into trouble, who knows, let's wait and see. At this moment in time, we have no idea how he was actually tortured, who was behind it, and the full circumstances. All we know from episode 406 was from the conversation with Detective Garcia and Olga Figueroa is that he was assisting them in the death of a detective. His body also showed signs of torture before he was murdered, so those were the two new things we learned in 406. But Lou definitely wants to avenge his death. He wants to do it for Famous, himself, Jessica, and also Kanan. He wants to make this shit right.
Oh, you wasn't down with that kind of shit no more.
I'll make an exception for Fame.
Now, Rock actually questioned, I thought you weren't actually down for that kind of thing no more. However, he does want to make an exception for Famous. Whether he gets to whoever killed Fame, or whether it's going to be Kanan or Jukebox, I do think eventually it has to be Kanan. It was his best friend, and he'll definitely want a piece of whoever took Fame away. Duke will definitely want a piece, but I'm sure Lou will definitely as well. Now in 406, he said now's not the right time, but when things start to build up a little more, when they start learning a bit more in terms of what the streets are saying, when they get closer to the truth, that's when we may see Lou potentially get involved. At this moment in time, I think everybody is so far from finding out the truth, and the real killer or torturer, we're gonna have to hang fire for at least an episode or two, or maybe until right till the very end of season 4. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that's revealed right at the end of season 4, kind of a cliffhanger going into season 5. But this is one of the situations that could make Lou flip a switch, finding Famous's killer and making things right, because he said it himself, he is willing to make an exception for Famous. But moving on to number 2, Berilla. Now Berilla is a disaster just waiting to happen. I think we all knew this from day one, because of how raw he is and how volatile he is. Back when they released Berilla's character description, at the time I even questioned, could Berilla be one of the reasons which drags Lou back into the streets? He's someone that's very difficult to control. He's a loose cannon. He can't try and mentor him like he did with Fame, because he's someone who probably isn't willing to listen, maybe because he's somewhat on his own clock. He's got Michelle and his daughter to care for, and he needs to make it work with his music, because he needs to put food on the table for his family. So, I think we all knew where this one was heading, especially after 403. Back in 403, Mr. Gelfand mentioned that he doesn't trust banks, and he's still someone who keeps his cash at home. The camera then panned to Berilla, and I think we all knew what he was thinking in that particular moment. He was going to rob Mr. Gelfand. Lo and behold, in 406, We saw him plotting with an old friend to go and hit Mr. Gelfand's apartment in Long Island. We don't know what kind of security Mr. Gelfand has at this moment, but we are probably going to find out how this goes down in 407. He's probably going to rob him or maybe even get caught. I raise the possibility of whether Mr. Gelfand could have potentially been playing him, but if I were to have my guess, I potentially don't think so. I just think it's going to end up terribly wrong in some shape or form. Maybe Mr. Gelfand's there, maybe his family, maybe someone else, and something just ends up going horribly wrong, which will then cause huge issues with Lou. The fact that he's going to rob Mr. Gelfand, when and if Lou finds out, which you can assume he will, he's going to absolutely lose his shit with Berilla. As it is, his patience is wearing thin. He's been trying to get him out of his apartment for a while, and Lou definitely didn't like the way he stepped up to him in the studio in 406. The way he put his hands on Lou, the look that Lou gave, he stepped outside because if he flipped a switch in that moment, we know what he's capable of. But they're definitely building up something big between Lou and Berilla. When I was watching 406, when I saw a couple of these scenes where Berilla stepped up to Lou, Lou's reaction, and the fact that they're now adding depth to Berilla's character, in terms of introducing us to his daughter and Michelle, we all know what's coming for Berilla. It made me think about the time when we got the backstory to Detective Vargas back in 4 Season 2. They gave us a story of how he was taking care of his sister, and that's when we thought, oh no, here we go. And that's the same feeling I'm getting with Berilla, except Berilla is someone who's very volatile and will probably deserve it. So, you add the fact that he's probably going to rob Mr. Gelfand. We don't know if that's going to be straightforward, let's see. But you add it to the fact that he's going to rob his stash, and also him stepping to Lou. They're definitely building this up for Lou to potentially have a decision to make when it comes to Berilla. I am pretty sure we'll probably revisit this one after we've seen episode 407. But, moving on to Lou being there for Rock.
He's doing everything he can to hurt us.
You gotta fuck with me first.
Baby brother, ready to get busy.
I think one thing is clear from the ending of episode 406, and when we're going to see episode 407, Rock is going to be absolutely spooked. She's going to be lost for words. She won't even know what's hit her when she actually realizes this is real. So, we actually need to see her full reaction, and then we need to see Marvin and Lou's reaction to the news. Because Rock isn't the only one who's been thinking he's been dead for 6 months, so has everybody else. But I've always had this feeling in the back of my mind since the beginning of season 4. When it comes to that moment where Unique finally reappears, I've always thought Lou will always be there to protect Rock, and that's what we're definitely going to see from Lou. Now in what capacity and how he plans to do so, who knows? Is he willing to get his hands dirty and get back to what pushed him over the edge before? I think it really is a tough one with Lou. I think all of these 3 scenarios, which is 1, the famous situation, 2, Berilla, and 3, being there for the Thomases because of Unique. All 3 are very difficult situations for Lou because of where he's just come from. He's just about cleared his head, come back to Queens where he's now doing the one thing he loves. He's now in the studio, living his dream, making music. But will one of these scenarios push him over the edge again? I would like to think it wouldn't, but we've already seen how he was contemplating taking a drink in 406, which was just from hearing the news about Famous. Imagine when he flips a switch and pulls the trigger again. What will that do to a character like Lou, who's just come out of rehab? I think that's the next question beyond that we should definitely be asking, which is probably a question for the back end of season 4 when he does make his move. What are the implications for his character? Could he potentially relapse? Maybe go back into the habit of drinking? I do think they've teased a lot with Lou's character in terms of how he's always been the emotional one. That was in the conversation with Joyce Thomas, how he's very similar to his father. But what did we learn about Elijah Thomas? He committed suicide after he gave up on life. And you can see Lou doing something very similar. He actually said it in 406. So, beyond those 3 situations, we do have to ask the question, what would this do to his mindset if he did turn again? It definitely is a valid question, because we definitely will see Lou turn. Now, in terms of his relationship with Imani Okoye, she saw Jess's necklace in the studio and acted as if Lou was cheating on her, even though they were never a thing. At least, I don't think they were. But it will cause a few complications because mixing business with pleasure, it's never such a good idea. So, this may even get complicated from a business standpoint, but definitely still one to watch in terms of her potentially being a confidential informant as well. I raised that point a few weeks ago, and nothing's happened since to change my mind. She's definitely still high up on the watch list of characters to be wary of. Definitely not saying she's a CI for sure, but just saying keep her on the watch list. More so after she found out Lou's been sleeping with Jess. We don't know what she's gonna do or potentially say, because she definitely is caught up in her feelings. So, definitely on the watch list for sure. But that's a breakdown of where we are with Lou post episode 406. There are a few things that may push him over the edge, where he then taps back into the dark side of his character. It's just a question of which one will it be first, and what are the implications when he does? Could he relapse and go back to drinking, giving up on life? Where will it leave him? I've definitely given you a few things to think about when it comes to Lou. In my personal opinion, I think the Berilla situation is one which will probably be first. It's probably going to most likely stem from Berilla hitting Mr. Gelfand's stash, which, knowing Berilla, probably won't go according to plan. But I think they've already planted the seeds for Lou to flip a switch with him, definitely sometime soon. With that being said, drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.